Hi, everyone. So, Gabby and I met 25 years ago
25 years. we've been
at
friends.
an NCT class. Did anyone go to those?
And they told me she was a journalist and I nearly ran away.
I was going to come to that question. Both pregnant, both clueless. We were with our friend Lizzie. I don't know if Lizzie's over there. And we were pretending we knew what we were doing. Since then...
We've always done that.
She's lit up TV, radio. You've been in theatre. And now you're lighting up the bookshelves with Spread the Joy. So do you remember what we thought when we first started NCT classes?
Yes. I never take life terribly seriously. The woman who was in there, she said to, the three of us were there, and she said, okay, what do you do? We'd like to go round the circle and all sit there. She was very like that, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Now, all sit nicely and behave. And so I said, oh, I'm a TV presenter. And then Jane said, it was next week, she said, I'm a journalist. I've never been as, oh no! And then Lizzie said, I'm a model. And then, and this is honestly true. And then about 10 minutes in, she said to us, could you three please separate? You three are naughty. And every week she wouldn't let us sit together. We were like we were back at school.
So you got over the fact I was a journalist. I wasn't going to be reporting on you while you were having
She's
contractions.
one of the kindest, dearest friends.
But we can't skip the day shortly after
Which
our
day?
babies. Shortly after our babies were born, when the paparazzi chased us around Regent's Park with our prams. What on earth was that about?
Well, you'll know it very well. And Lizzie will also remember it. Yeah, we were in Regent's Park, and I personally choose not to do the magazines where I show off babies and kitchens and house renovations and things. It's just not, it's something I've chosen to do. My private life's my private life. And the paparazzi was there. Unfortunately, I didn't have any milk. I didn't produce milk, so my baby girl was being bottle fed. But Jane was breastfeeding at the time, and she went, Paps! And her milk went everywhere and her boobs were out.
But then, fortunately, I was cut out of the pictures, which then appeared in Heat magazine the following week. But how's that changed now? Because there was a lot of kind of, running around avoiding pictures, etc. And now with the rise of social media, trolls, is it actually harder to navigate and to be private now?
I think you can still, I enjoy Instagram. My whole thing on Instagram is about spreading joy and being silly. I've never taken myself terribly seriously, but all anybody sees is the inside of my house and my white wardrobes when I do shopping in your wardrobe, and that's it. And I think you can. I think if you choose to, if it's absolutely it's whatever anybody wants to do. If they want to show their kids, if they want to show everything about their lives, then absolutely. But I've chosen not to, and I it's just something I've always wanted to do. I'm very lucky to do what I've wanted to do since I was 3. But I never thought, I want to be famous and show everybody everything in my life. It was not about that.
Yeah, but do you take notice of what people are saying on social media or Google?
I'm very lucky.
Try and just not.
I'm very lucky because what I put out there is all positive and fun and silly. So I don't really, I'm very lucky, I should touch wood.
Hard to be negative back, I think, from your... So you've had a really wild, long career. From the Big Breakfast to, as I said, theatre, you did cabaret.
That. I did Saturday morning telly.
Oh, Saturday morning telly.
Yeah.
So, but let's talk me through how that happened. So you decided you wanted to be on TV when I was 3,
yes.
And why was that?
So my father was a continuity announcer on BBC 2 television, and you say, and coming up next is whatever it was. And he was also a Radio 4 newsreader. So just like any other child, I went with my dad to work, and I was about 3 years old. And I was obsessed with television. From the minute that TV would turn on, I was like that, be very close to it. And when I was about 3 years old, I went in, and I watched through the glass Blue Peter being made. And I just turned to my dad and said, that's what I want to do. He said, okay, if that's what you want to do. And then I came home, and every day in front of if that's the television, I would sit next to the television and I would present the shows. And my dad would put a cardboard box on his head because he was a camera. And then years later, when I saw that they used auto cue, my mum wrote on a loo roll a whole script that I gave her. She wrote it on a loo roll and she had to pull it, and obviously in the opposite direction, and then roll it up. And then so I could practice doing auto cue. I think I was about 10 then. But I was also an incredibly shy child. I talk about this very openly. I'm very shy as an adult as well. And it's in my book. I talk about shyness, and I think it's something that not enough people talk about. So going to parties, I mean, these girls have seen me, how shy I do get. But as a child, I was very shy. So people say, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a TV presenter, and what I'd really like to do is Saturday morning live television. And they say, but you're very shy. I go, yeah, I know I'm shy, but that's what I want to do. And then they say, why do you want to do it? I said, because television makes me smile, and I want to make people smile. And it really was as simple as that.
And how did the Big Breakfast come about?
So
it was so massive, wasn't it? We all remember that.
I did children's telly first for a couple of years on satellite television, a show called Hippo. And then I did Saturday morning telly called Motormouth on Saturday morning. Obviously, Saturday morning telly on Saturday morning. That was with Neil Buchanan, who was Mr. Art Attack and everything. It was an amazing way to start, because there I was literally fulfilling my dream. And then at the end of that, my agent called me and said, there's a new show that's launching. And actually my late mum as well read something about it. And she said, and I used to say to all the press, every time they interviewed me, you know, what would you like to do next? I say, I'd like to do Saturday morning telly every day of the week. And they sort of go, yes. And that's the Saturday. I went, no, but this should be on every day. And then I did 5 auditions for The Big Breakfast with Chris Evans every time. And on the 5th one, I've told this many times, apologies, but on the 5th one, we're sitting there, and Chris took his mic off and said, for God's sake, give this girl the job. We just get on so well, and she wants it. And then they called me into the office, and they said, right, sit down. You've got the job, but you're not allowed to tell anybody. I went, what? And they said, it starts in 2 weeks, and you're not allowed to tell anybody until it's announced. And I walked out of and they said, don't even, to everyone in the office who was working on the show, I had to walk out with a very straight face. I remember walking down the stairs. I remember going all the way home. The first thing I did was go to my parents' house, and I walked in the door, and I said, you're not allowed to tell anybody. And then I burst into tears, and I said, I've got the Big Breakfast. And my parents went, that's fantastic. And they were really excited. And then after the first show, we knew that we were going to just have the best time, really, Chris and I.
Because it took off really quickly, didn't it? How did your life change?
Well, I remember our boss walking the 2 of us over. I mean, I drove into work every day. We didn't do fancy cars. There were no fancy dress rooms. We got changed behind a curtain. It was exactly as you saw it, if you ever watched it. And about 3 or 4 days in, our boss walked us over the bridge to our cars, and I had a little Fiat Panda. And he said, you know, your lives will never be the same again, because this is going to be huge. And Chris and I went, don't be silly. And I suppose, yes, it has, but because I'd already been doing telly, so it did, because I was doing what I wanted to do. But the C word I don't like, as you know. I don't like the word celebrity.
But you've met a lot of people. Have there been mentors in your career? Obviously, Chris, you work with very closely.
And Terry Wogan.
Terry Wogan. Yeah. Are they the big, and what did they teach you?
Oh, Terry Wogan will always used to say, it's not brain surgery, it's only television. It's not brain surgery, it's only radio. And I started in radio 20 years ago, so much, much later in my career I started in radio. And Terry was like, get yourself on the radio. And Chris was saying it as well. And Chris reminded me, always taught me rather, and we remind one another still, we saw each other a couple of weeks ago, that it's always, and my dad always said it as well, it's about the one person that's listening. It's about the one person that's watching. So you never, when people say, oh, the ratings were great, we had 5 million or whatever. No, it's one person. Always, always, always one person. Because if you can, you can't think, it's not, it's personal. Especially radio, it's so deeply personal. And so it's very lovely if somebody listens.
Your Sunday show's called Make a Difference. Is it important to you to have an impact?
Yes,
through your
yes.
work?
And the show's called Make a Difference. We've been doing it now for 3 months, and I couldn't be prouder. It goes across the whole of the UK, and we celebrate people who are making a difference. From the very first show we had on a lovely fireman, a rubbish collector, who saw that there was a fire in a house. So he pulled over his rubbish van and ran up, literally shimmied the drain pipe. He's a big lad. Ran up, saved the woman who was there. She said, oh no, please go and save my husband. He went back up there, saved the husband. And then they both at the bottom said, oh, the dog. He went back up, got the dog. This is honestly true. Went back up, got the dog. And he went, well, thank you very much. He then thought he'd go around the corner to Greg's. He got himself a cup of tea. And he then did overtime because he realised he'd taken an hour out of his day to save these people's lives. So he put in overtime. And it was just it was so lovely to be able to celebrate him. But there are so many good things that people do. And I think the news is so dark at the moment and so bleak that we need to celebrate all these people. And the very first show we had Ed Sheeran on, and he was there there was a young boy who, his brother isn't well at all. And so the boy taught all the schools in the area about what they should be feeding and what they should be doing for people with cystic fibrosis and diabetes. And that's his brother's on the spectrum as well. Just the most beautiful brothers. And Ed came in, and then Ed sent them a guitar to say it was lovely to meet you. Not for the publicity, so it's lovely. And we get suddenly I'm going to use the C word, all the celebrities who come on, people in the public eye who also come on, also feel that they want to celebrate all the positive things. So I think we need to really do our best to celebrate all the good things that are out there. I love that you're nodding.
I agree. And I know you've done a lot of charity work, you've shared stages with, Charles, the Royals, Diana back in the day. You don't talk about things like that. You're very...
Well, this week everybody did see. I can share what happened. No, last week. Go on, ask me what I did last week.
Go on, what did you do last week?
Oh, it's funny you should ask. It is everywhere. Bizarrely, it was in all the papers. I had the Queen serve me a baked potato.
Was it a good one? Because Tom Parker Bowles, who was here earlier, he said she's a very good cook.
Yes, well, her and Spudman. If you know Spudman, I love Spudman. You know Spudman. He's fantastic. He's very open about his dialysis as well. He's an amazing guy. I'm going to go and work with him in Liverpool. We're going to serve baked potatoes in December. I can't wait. But he and the Queen were in the van serving me a baked potato with cheese and baked beans. And at the end of it, he turned around to the Queen. He said, "Can you believe we're serving Gaby Roslin baked potatoes?" And I just went, "What are you talking about? The Queen has just served me a baked potato." And she giggled. She was absolutely... It was because we were celebrating the importance of volunteering.
Yeah.
So we were launching GoVo. So you can find out about volunteering in your area. You just go onto their website. And it's a lovely way to find out something you can do in your lunchtime or in your evenings, because it's a double whammy, volunteering, because you feel good and the person that you're helping feels good too.
Exactly, and I know GH readers are big volunteers and change makers. But let's get on to joy. So you call yourself pathologically positive.
Yeah.
How do you hold on to joy when life throws you curveballs? Because it's not always been easy.
No, it hasn't always been
has
easy.
It?
No,
you lost your mum quite young.
Yeah, Mum and Dad were both ill at the same time with different cancers in different hospitals. This is almost 30 years ago. And what's really extraordinary is when I look back at that time, I think I can't quite believe that all of that happened. It feels like I'm talking about somebody else in a way. But you have to be positive. I mean, when my mum was dying, she was still cracking jokes. And we got the all clear for Dad the same day that Mum died. And it was an awful time. I have to say, 2 days before she died, she was reading the paper and she was reading about a new Saturday night show that called Whatever You Want. And it was a wish fulfillment show. And she said, you know what? You should be doing this show. I said, oh, you did that about the breakfast show. It's absolutely true. 2 weeks after she died, I got that Saturday morning show. So when I went on and did Whatever You Want, I was always behind the scenes, a big audience. And it was a massive, big BBC Saturday night show, which I did for 4 years. And I always used to feel her there, just on my shoulder going, there we go, told you, even before I died, I knew what you were going to be doing. But it is important to look for the joy. It's important to look for the positive thing, because I've always been like that. And even when I was at my saddest when Mum died, I remember walking through Soho, and I remember laughing out loud for no reason, and then thinking, oh, maybe I shouldn't. No, I should. My mum had a wicked sense of humour. Yes, I can. And it's allowing yourself the freedom to feel, but also knowing that there are no rules to grief. And I think a lot of people think, oh, you should be feeling this, you should be feeling this. There are no rules to it. But also, we're so lucky to be alive. I mean, I do live in the moment. There have been times when Jane and Lizzie both said, can you shut up? Because I'm like, oh, okay, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? But it's, you live in the moment. I don't know what tomorrow brings. Yesterday's already happened. Live now. We're not going to have this moment ever again. So just make the most of it. And I've always been
in the book, you talk about tiny changes and tiny things you can do. Like, so you know how sometimes I wake up and I'm feeling anxious, got no reason to be feeling anxious, or I'm feeling a bit low. Or what is the how? What,
well, the first thing you can do, and I'd love you all to try. We're going to do a couple of things if you don't mind, if you're able to. Is the very first thing before you reach for your telephone. Please don't. Before you do anything else, it's this. It's literally just raising up your cheeks, with your eyes closed, just raising your cheeks. And there's science behind it, because not with your hands, just do it. So you just literally just do that. And there's science behind it, because your brain then goes, oh, I feel good. You then go into the bathroom, and you look at yourself in the mirror, and you smile at yourself. You don't go, oh, God, my grey hair. Why am I? I wish my neck. Oh, look at my arms. No,
what about if you've got hair on your chin, though? That's bad.
No, smile first. Smile first. The first thing you do, and it sets you up, even if you've got the worst things to deal with that day, you have that moment of joy. Then there's something else. If you're able to, could you stand up, please? Come on.
Oh.
Only if you're able to. If you can't, please don't. Right, and I do this every day, and I tell everybody to do it, and I do it before I go into any important meeting. I had a very important meeting at ITV last week. I did this outside the important meeting room, and people look at me going, she's doing it again. I go, yeah, I am. So what I'd really like you to do is, this is very simple. Do you want to pop your bag down? Right. If you're able to, I'd really like you just to jump after 3. 1, 2, 3. Right, I'd like you to put your arms in the air, please. After 3, jump. 1, 2, 3. Now I'd like you to put the biggest smiles on your face. With your hands in the air and jump. 1, 2, 3. Now, you sit down. Do you feel more energized? It's the simplest thing. Look, everybody's smiling. Suddenly, your body feels more energized. Your brain is just suddenly, oh, you feel more alert. It's the simplest thing to do. And every single person that I've ever done it with, they always say, I'm going to carry on doing it. And I had a friend who went through a really horrific time, very awful time. And I told her to do those things. And about 2 weeks after, I won't use the actual swear words that she said, 2 weeks later, because I used to speak to her every day, and 2 weeks later, she said, I am feeling like I'm coping, okay, so that's great. She said, the way I'm coping is that every morning when I put on that bloody smile on my face and I jump, I loudly swear at you. And she told me what she said. It was a certain word beginning with F, off, Gaby. She said, and then that made her laugh. And she said, she was finding it easier to cope with things because she was laughing and swearing at me. So it helped.
So have you taught yourself to be fearless? Because you're really good at having an idea for something and really going for it.
I think,
despite being shy. You know?
Yeah, I think it's about being determined. And I think people think of determination and ambition as a negative thing. They're not. So long as you, like my parents said, don't hurt anybody in the process. Be kind, be polite, you know. But I never stopped thinking of ideas. And even when I was little, and it's in the book as well, but when I was little, I used to get dressed. I used to go to bed in my pajamas, and parents would come and say goodnight, and then I'd get dressed for the next day. So I was ready just in case they asked me to do Blue Peter. It's really true. And my mum would then come in and she'd go, can you put your pajamas back on? I go, no, I can't wait for tomorrow because I might be a TV presenter tomorrow. She went, okay, can you just put your pajamas on? And I've never slept a lot because I used to then lie in bed. I'd sing musical theatre songs until early hours of the morning. And that was then my parents were used to that. I used to sing musical theatre songs, and then I think of ideas for TV shows, and I still do the same thing. And when I wake up in the morning, when the girls were little, I used to go in to wake them up, singing musical theatre songs and sitting on top of them. I'm a very strange mother, and I don't know where they get their love of musical theatre from, but they both love it.
Talking of family life, you've built a really lovely family life. You've got a gorgeous husband, David, 2 lovely girls, you know, a long marriage now with David. But what keeps you grounded? Because you are very grounded.
Oh, because I don't let any of the rubbish. Yeah, I don't. You know, if you don't read the reviews, because then you won't. If you don't believe the good, then you won't believe the bad. But also, how lucky am I to have 2 daughters? I didn't know that that would ever happen. How lucky am I to have a wonderful husband who's completely nothing to do with the industry and thinks the whole thing is crazy? How lucky am I to have the best friends who are supportive, but also to be doing my dream, to be fulfilling my dream every day? I pinch myself. I think, why wouldn't I be lucky and happy? Yeah.
Let's talk about drinking. You gave up alcohol a few years ago. Be honest, was it in any way related to our first night out post-babies at the Groucho, the one with Jude Law and Paul McCartney?
It is absolutely true. Actually, the reason I gave up drinking was because I walk everywhere. And I realised I wasn't walking if I had a hangover. And I did not like hangovers, and they get worse as you get older. So I just thought, right, I'm stopping drinking. And after about 3 months or so, I thought, why didn't I do this sooner? Because it feels so much better. I love not drinking, but I don't mind if anybody else wants to. So I'm not, and I'm very lucky. I've got friends who have had problems with drinking, and they always say, please don't say it was easy. Well, okay, I won't say it was easy, but it was easier for me than somebody who feels it's not easy, if that makes sense. But that night was extraordinary. We were in Groucho's. You've forgotten Adamant as well.
Oh, I forgot Adamant.
Yeah, we went out, and Jane kept going, Gaby, it's Jude Law. And I went, where? And then Jude Law came over and he said, hi, Gaby. I went, this is Jane. Jane went,
couldn't speak.
And then Adam Ant came in.
And it was weird though, wasn't it?
Yeah, he came in and he went, hello. And then Jane said, it's Adam Ant. And he went, oh, hello, hi, Jude. And I went, this is Jane. And then he left. And then Paul McCartney came in. And Jane went, Gaby! And we had Jude still with us. And Jude said, hi, Paul. And Paul turned around and said, oh, hi, Jude. Hi, Gaby. I went, this is Jane. Jane is now like this. I don't think she spoke, and Jane doesn't. She never not speaks. And we ended up talking to Paul for hours. He was talking about his marriage. He was talking all sorts.
He was about to get married to Heather, wasn't he?
Yeah. And he was.
Remember what I said to him that was really embarrassing?
No, what did
you say? It might have made you give up alcohol. It nearly made me give it up.
What did you say?
It's amazing what you've done for Liverpool. The shame.
Oh my God! But he was so lovely, and we never thought he was going to go. He just we thought we were going to have one more drink, and then it was like, okay, so that is showbiz. That's quite a good showbiz story. As showbiz stories goes, that's quite good. Is that quite a good one? Yeah.
For many women, I think joy can feel harder to access as you get older, you know, as life gets busier, going through the menopause, you know, being in the sandwich generation, looking after parents as well as kids. So if what would you say to someone who feels they've lost that sense of joy, apart from jumping up and down?
Yes, jumping. No, it's actually not beating yourself up about it. That's the other thing. I think a lot of people, whatever age actually, they always think, oh, I wish I could, I wish I did, why didn't I? And I think instead of questioning yourself and looking at the sort of doing it in the negative way, reframe that. It's always a thing about, oh, but if I do that, you think the worst might happen. Think, if I do that, this can happen. So it's reframing that and actually owning the problems and talking. I'm a great one I go on and on about this. And we say it on this Sunday afternoon show on the BBC on Make a Difference. You know, talking is really important. If you're struggling, if you're feeling bad, you know, if Samaritans are there, if I don't know, you know, if any of you here feel sometimes that there's nobody that you can talk to, 116 123, they're there. And it's important to talk. If you're feeling alone, we have a epidemic of loneliness in the UK, and it's very worrying, and we're working on that. When I do Morning Live, BBC daytime show, and we're working behind the scenes at the moment on doing a huge thing to tackle loneliness. And you can feel lonely with a lot of people. I know a lot of women who in the middle of perimenopause or menopause can feel very alone. No, you know what, you're not alone. You talk about it. And also don't beat yourself up if you're not feeling good. You're allowed to not feel good, but you can also think, I will feel better, because you will.
Then have you felt differently, you know, as you've got older?
I suppose years ago, there's no way that a stranger would come up to me in the street and say, can I dance with you? And I dance with anybody in the street. I do strange, weird things. I was in a car park last week with my friend, even though he's on telly, Dr. Amir from Lorraine's show, and we were dancing in a car park. He was teaching me Bhangra dancing. I would never do Strictly in a million zillion years, as you know. I've always said that to you, never. I'm too self-conscious and too shy. But I'll stand in the street and do that. And I think things like that come with age. You sort of don't care as much. And also, I find it, there's a part of me that finds it very sad that a lot of women, and men too, come up and say, oh God, I wish I could wear neon colours, but oh, I haven't got, I'm scared to. I feel embarrassed, or I don't want to. If you want to, just do it. Just do it. Because I go on about colour in the book as well. So all of those things, and I do think that that does come with age, without a doubt. But I'm still 33. I'm 33 every birthday.
So am I. I'm the same.
Yeah? Always. And it's very bizarre because and you and I have had a long talk about this, but I find it very strange. Every single time I'm interviewed, they want to write Gaby Roslin and my age. And if they ever talk about a man, they never write their age. It's always the woman and her age. So I always say, especially when I was doing all the publicity for Spread the Joy, and I'm doing a new TV show coming up as well. And so I've been doing publicity about that. It's not coming out yet, so I can't say anything.
Oh.
And no, I can't say.
I knew you weren't going to.
But they all, and I said, can you just write Gaby Roslin 33 or Gaby Roslin without an age? I don't know why my age is important. And they say, well, people are interested. Like, you know, you don't care somebody's age. And why is it only for a woman, not a man? It's really, really odd.
Do you think it's getting any better? Are there any signs?
No.
You haven't seen anything?
No, not as far as writing it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I think people celebrate age more. And I work for Hearst Group, as you know, in Prima magazine, and it's the same company that make wonderful Good Housekeeping. By the way, I couldn't be prouder of Jane.
Stop it. I told you, I'm interviewing you.
No, I'm very proud of her. But you know, I think without a doubt, Good Housekeeping and Prima, I don't feel there's no age written across it anywhere, which I love. Yeah. It's important. I don't know if you feel the same.
Agree.
Do you feel the same?
I feel like we're seeing a bit more on TV, like, you know, Riot Women and...
Oh, isn't that wonderful? Have you watched Riot Women? Anyone watched it? How good.
You love it? I loved it. Yeah, it was great. Well, Sally
Don't get me talking about TV, because I'll start to... I love TV so much.
Oh,
still.
come on, admit the one thing you've never not watched.
EastEnders. I've watched every single episode. Even though I'm 33, it's been going 14 years on since February this year. I even know the date. And I've never missed an episode of EastEnders.
Did you watch it on your wedding day?
I would have watched the omnibus or on the...
The omnibus.
Now it's so wonderful because I can just watch it at any time. And when I'm up and down on the trains, because I do, Morning Live comes from Manchester and Shop Smart was coming from Birmingham when we were doing that. I only finished it a couple of months ago. And on the train, anybody, and the amount of times people would pass go, Gaby Roslin, you're watching EastEnders! I go, yeah. But I did quite a few TV shows about EastEnders as well, so I love it. Absolutely love it.
Would you like
so good at the
Would
moment.
you like to be in
No.
EastEnders?
No.
What about theatre? Because you did cabaret.
And I've done, no, I didn't do cabaret, I did Chicago.
Oh, Chicago.
Yes, Chicago.
And that was brilliant. But you didn't want to do any more theatre?
Did you come and see
Oh,
that?
you did.
Oh my God! Yes.
Of course I did.
No, that was 20 years ago. No, I've done that. I needed to do it because I love musicals, and I always said I wanted to. I'm a trained singer as well, and I always said I wanted to do. I can't dance, but I wanted to do a musical where I didn't have to dance, and so I did Mama Morton in Chicago, and she only does one move, which was a turn, and I burst into tears in rehearsals. And what if I turned the wrong way? And they took the turn out.
Did they?
I just had to stride and sing and belt.
You're really good at live TV. There's not
I
that
love
much
it.
live TV.
Morning Live is live.
Morning, yeah. And, obviously you used to do Children in Need.
Yeah, that used to
Big
be
Breakfast
7
was
hours.
live.
But also, I was very lucky to do the Millennium, where I did 28 and a half hours straight through live. And if I would happily do live every day.
28 hours, was
28 and a half.
What, and you had no sleep?
No sleep,
Not
no.
even like
Stayed
20-minute nap?
No. Stayed on air for the whole... I don't mean in a sexual way. I had a different man every hour. But it started Michael Parkinson for the first hour, Michael Palin, all sorts of people, and then through the night, and then came back at the end for the last hour with Michael Parkinson. And that was amazing. That was absolutely amazing. And afterwards, all the press were like, so, how do you feel? I bet you can't wait for a glass of champagne and a sleep. I went, no, can we do some more? But actually, there was a funny story that happened. We started at 9 o'clock in the morning on New Year's Eve, unsurprisingly, in 1999. And when we do television, we have earpieces. So the people in the gallery, the directors, the camera people, the vision mixers, I can hear what's going on, and they can talk to us. And 15 minutes into the live show, where the BBC were going around the world, and we were going to have fireworks from everywhere and the celebrations from all around the world. And in my ear, it was, all the connections have gone down, can you fill? And I sat there and went, yes, because I thought 28 and a half hours of ad-libbing, non-stop talk, I can do that. About 15 minutes in, they said, it's all back. And I was, okay. But yeah, no, I loved it.
And when you're interviewing people, how do you get the best out of them? So when you've been doing, when you do a lot of interviews on the radio still now.
Yeah. I'm very lucky. On Magic, we get the biggest guests, and on the Sunday show as well. So we've had Cameron Diaz and Jamie Lee Curtis, and we've got Jeff Goldblum this Saturday. You just listen. My dad gave me great advice on that as well. He said, if you've planned, and I think it's really good for all of us, in whatever job you do, that if you've planned that you're going to talk to somebody because they've always, for years and years and years, they've been passionate about lion, and all they do is they love lions. And then the first thing you say is, so tell me, you've been working with lions for years. And they say, yeah, not anymore. Yesterday, I'm now working with giraffes. And you've planned the whole thing about lions. No, you listen and go, now tell me all about your work with giraffes. And it's just about listening. And also, I'm very nosy.
Okay, who's your favourite interview?
I can't choose one. I've got
All right,
too
go
many.
on then. Give me a couple.
Oh, no, a few. I've got a lot. Tom Hanks. And, love Tom Hanks. I've interviewed him a few times now. Billy Crystal, when I had to fake an orgasm from Harry Met Sally with Billy Crystal live on The Big Breakfast with Lily Savage looking over and saying, I'll have what she's having. Gosh, I absolutely adored Jamie Foxx recently. Jamie Lee Curtis was on my wish list, so I couldn't quite believe I was interviewing her. Oh gosh, there's so many. Robbie Williams, always. I've known him for years. So Judi Dench, she was my first guest on the podcast, Judi Dench and her daughter Finty Williams, and then Robbie Williams on Reasons to be Joyful. And we're still doing that. And it's lovely because lots of people come to us and say because they want to talk about joy, which is lovely.
Yeah. Anyone that you hate?
No. I thought you could say anyone you still want.
Yeah, go on. Who's
desperate? Michelle Obama.
Oh, yeah, okay. She's got her own podcast.
Yeah, she has. I would love to. I think she's a really positive, amazing role model.
Well, you can go on each other's.
Oh, yeah, because, yeah. Hi, Mish. No problem. No, there's only ever been one that's not particularly nice, and I never said who it was. So he had his reason.
You never know what people are going through on
No,
the day,
exactly.
do you?
It's like I always say to people, that I always get upset when people get angry in a car at somebody else because you think you don't know why they've sped past or why they're slow or you don't know. So please give people the benefit of the doubt.
And what gives you unfiltered childlike joy now? What's guaranteed to?
Walking?
Yeah.
Okay, my favourite thing on the planet is doing live television and radio. There's nothing I love more. Although the girls know they come second best, but that's all right. They do. I love, obviously, but being with the family, I love. Doing my job, I love it. I am very lucky at the moment. I'm working 7 days a week, and I know that sounds weird to say I'm lucky, but I am working that hard. And walking, which I love. Zip lining, I'm obsessed with. I went to Wales for my birthday last year. I went on the longest, fastest zip line in the UK. Fantastic at Zip World. Have you been zip lining with me?
No, not with you, but I have
we
done
do it?
Okay. Yeah, I'm up for that.
Lizzie? Yeah,
All of us, we all go.
Yeah. Oh, if you had a zip line in here, you wouldn't get me off it. So things like that, yeah.
Yeah, you are always I can vouch for the fact that you're always jumping on a trampoline or climbing into something you shouldn't climb into.
Yes. Ball ponds. Why do we have ball ponds for adults?
But let's talk about friendship. And, you're an only child, I'm an only child. Do you think that's...
Well, no, I've got a brother who lives in New Zealand, but I'm the only one here. Yes.
Yeah.
So, do you know what? I said it at our wedding, and Jane and Lizzie were at the wedding, that for me, my family are my friends, and my family, obviously. I've got the most fantastic first cousins who we're all super, super, super close. I'm very lucky. But my friends are my family. I've got the best friends who have been there through the most awful times and through some of the very, very happy times. And even if you don't see each other for a while, that I call them the 3 o'clock in the morning friends. Even though I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to do television and radio, maybe they might not like if I called them up.
No, I don't.
Hi, morning.
Don't call me at 3.
But I know that if there was something happening and I needed you, I could call you. You'd be there.
On that note, though, you have this spooky ability to call when something's happening. And you said your mum was like that about, with your work, etc. Is there
well, my dad is like that and has always been like that. But it's just, I think it's listening and looking and learning and being aware. Yeah, but sometimes weird things happen. I'll ring up Jane and go, "You all right? How did you know?" I just have a feeling. Maybe I care about my friends a lot. I'm very lucky.
Yeah, it's intuitive, isn't it?
Yeah, you listen to your gut.
Yeah.
Gut's important. That's a whole other conversation.
Oh, yes, because also there's a bit about food.
Yeah, there is.
Joyful food in the book.
Well, yeah, I mean, when both my parents had cancer, my dad had bowel cancer and mum had lung cancer, as I said. And so I decided almost 30 years ago to study health and nutrition, which I have done and I still do. Before I go to bed, I will suddenly look at a new medical finding, and I'll be banging on about gut health for years and years and years. And this isn't an advert, but I take Simprove every morning, and I think it's really important that we look after our gut because we're learning more and more and more about our gut and our brain and how they're linked. They really are. So all of that is very, very important, but you also have to be allowed those treats. And yes, I am super healthy, and it's a life choice that I have. But I love pistachio ice cream.
Who doesn't? Who
Love it.
doesn't?
But you've got to do those things as well. Just do it in moderation.
All right, it's Christmas now. It's
Yes.
Christmas here for the
Christmas
next 4
here.
days.
I heard the Christmas songs outside. It was woo!
So, what do you do at Christmas? Tell me how does Christmas Day pan out for you?
Right. I usually work, not on Christmas Day, and I'm not working this Christmas Day, but the day before Christmas, we're doing something with Crisis at Christmas, so I can't wait to do that. And then Christmas Day, Christmas night, ever since the girls were little, we do a Christmas disco. And even when they were tiny, we'd stay up late and we'd put on the crappiest music and we would just jump around the sitting room. And we still do that, even though they're 24 and 18. And then Christmas Day, last year we had my husband's dad and his sisters and their other halves, and it was wonderful, and my dad. And so we'll just be family. It's just, we do a very simple Christmas, and lots of Brussels sprouts, because that's my favourite part.
And what about decorations? Are we talking tasteful decorations?
No,
are we talking...
No, I love neon. So I've got a lot of neon. Well, as you know, you've seen my house. So I've got a lot of neon. So I've got a big sign that says "Spread the Joy" in bright pink. There's a surprise. I've got another neon sign that says "On Air" that I was given years ago. I've got another neon sign that says "Disco." I've got another neon sign that's in the kitchen. Tiny kitchen. We've got a really tiny kitchen. And it says "Light." The word "light," and it's a light. Obviously, neon light. So we've got the neons on, and then the Christmas tree, I love sparkle. Sparkle is for life, not just for Christmas. By the way, things you have to remember about Christmas. 2 things, well, also summer. Ice cream is for life, not just for summer. Christmas, sparkle is for life, not just for Christmas. And Michael Bublé. He's another person I've interviewed many times. I love him to pieces. The first ever TV show he did was with me and Terry Wogan, and we've kept in contact, and he's an absolute joy of a man. But Michael Bublé is for life, not just for Christmas.
Oh.
So I have lots and lots of silver. Everything's silver, silver, silver everywhere. As you can tell, I love silver. And then I have this sort of neon-y blue light that I hang over the trees. And my husband comes and takes off, and I go and put them back on. He likes it all being plain, and I like it neon.
Oh, Gaby, that was brilliant. You've reminded us that joy isn't about perfection. It's about choosing light, even when life gets messy. Thank you for 25 years of friendship, chaos, and laughter, and for still answering my texts. Please join me in thanking the brilliant Gaby Roslin, who's going to be out there doing a book signing.
Thank you very much.
After this.
Please can we thank Jane, and for Jane being the editor of Good Housekeeping. Woo!
That was great.